In this video, I'm just going to be showcasing Vulcayen in action in the game. So before we get to the gameplay, just to reiterate, what we're going to see here is we're going to see all his active ability and then as well as a bunch of passives. So for his active ability, it's the Vulcan Cannon. He's going to deal damage to all the enemies, and then he's going to deal burn damage over time for the next 8 seconds if it doesn't just instantly kill them. A lot of times when you use the Vulcan Cannon ability, it will just instantly kill the enemies, so you're not going to be able to see that actual burn damage as much. But it does work with some of his other passives, which we'll get to in a second. Second unique skill is a passive where you're going to sacrifice 40% of your attack speed in game to gain 100% attack boost. This third passive, so when attacking enemies that have been ignited, so if this Vulcan Cannon doesn't kill them, the next, just any attacks you attack those enemies right after, so once they're ignited, they're getting burn damage. If you actually attack them again, your attacks will do additional 20% damage on top of that. And then if any enemies die while in that ignited state, then your slime war, you're going to see a bonus attack up to 5 times for 5 enemies, but Vulcayen's going to get a 10% attack boost. And then we have Burn with Anger, this level 200 passive. So when Vulcayen's HP is below 50%, it actually removes this attack speed debuff, which we're going to see. And then this can only happen every 15 seconds, so you're not going to be able to constantly do this, but it's a nice little attempt at a burst of survivability. But as I'm going to show you in game, it doesn't necessarily help a ton, just because you had to get that close to death in the first place. Then the final one, this level 150 ability, so in battle slimes reduce their dodge rate to 0%. You do get increased hit rate and final damage by 30%, so we'll see that as well. So just real quick, if we go to Vulcayen's hit rate, you're going to see right here, he has 230 hit rate, but because of that level 150 passive, when we actually go into battle, we're going to see that hit rate's actually a bit bigger. So if I go right here, we're going to see down to hit rate, he has actually showing 270 hit rate just because of that extra 200 or that extra 40%, which brings him to the 270. So I'm actually going to go back over to stage 12, and then just to kind of show you this first ability. So we're going to use this active ability when a bunch of enemies are on the screen, and then we'll see we're dealing that active ability, does damage to everyone. It did just instantly kill everyone, so we're not really going to be able to see that ignite damage. But one thing you'll notice in conjunction with that third passive, so when we kill those enemies with an ignited status, which also does count for the ability itself. So right now Vulcayen has 2,089,000, so just a little over 2 million attack damage every time he uses that ability. Because he's killing those enemies and they're in ignited status, we're getting a big damage boost just from that. So up to 10% per enemy, up to a cap of 50%, which you can see there's going to be a little counter over his head right when we use that ability. So I'll use it right here. He's getting that had 2 to 3 counter, and then they'll gradually roll off as time goes on. For the second passive, we're going to look at that attack speed one, which is kind of interesting. So, and this is really what makes Vulcayen really hard to use in later stages, just because of that reduced attack speed. But when we look at our attack speed right now, it should be 6. Notice I did unequip a bunch of runes and stuff just because I wanted to showcase it at a lower value. But our attack speed should be 6, and then our attack damage should be just over 1 million. But when we hop into battle here, you're going to see we're sacrificing 40% of that attack speed, so our attack speed's only 3.6, but as a result we have doubled attack, so our attacks just over 2 million. One thing to note real quick as far as that dodge, because Vulcayen he gets bonus final damage and hit rate for that level 150 ability, but he does get dodge reduced to 0, so you're going to see you have 0 dodge chance. This is regardless of what runes you have, and any equipment, it just gets set to 0. This is actually going to be the same for hard mode. So if I go and switch over to hard mode real quick, and then we're just going to swap Vulcayen in, And then on my stats, I'm toggled to the stats of Chloris, but because we have Vulcayen equipped, even Chloris's dodge rate goes to 0, and so really it does kind of hurt your survivability a bit, just because Vulcayen he boosts your hit rate and damage, but he nerfs that dodge rate. So that's one of the other nuances that can make using Vulcayen a little tricky in battle. Now this final passive ability we're going to look at, that level 200 ability, what it does is it can offset that sacrifice ritual attack speed debuff to an extent. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not super consistent because you do have to let yourself get pretty low on HP for it to actually trigger. But if I go to stage 13 here, and then I'll keep it at 3 speed because it should be relatively quick, but you're seeing I'm at 3.6 attack speed. But when these enemies get close to killing me, in that case, they actually instantly killed me from above 50% HP. So in order for this to trigger, they actually have to get you down below 50% HP, just because how that works here. So if we go over to this passive, it only triggers when your HP gets below 50%. So if they one-shot you from 60% all the way down to 0, then you're never going to get that temporary attack speed rebuff. So you do have to be kind of careful. And I mean, it's happening to me again right here. What I could do to kind of try and counteract this is I could boost my HP, equip some HP runes, but we're just going to go and try again, see if we can have any better luck. I'm going to increase it to ×5 speed, and then the enemies are going to come, and you can see right there, my attack speed did temporarily get just boosted back to 6 because I did get under 50% HP without instantly getting killed. But even then, with that temporary attack speed boost, most of the time when you already let your HP get that low, you're just going to die anyway. So while it's kind of cool, really the main reason you should be getting your slime to level 200 is just for those bonus stats. In Vulcayen's case, that level 200 passive ability doesn't help him a ton. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions.